their cost of supply studies as part of their public participation process. But NASA must come back and say, these are the municipalities that do not comply, and this is our plan to ensure the compliance. On the same sense, we are creating individual remedies for individual consumers that do get electricity from these, let's call it, illegal tariffs. And how do they protect themselves against the municipality? We are going to launch a website for any individual to be able to get these remedies at their disposal. And thirdly, obviously, we have branches across South Africa that do take part in municipal processes, and we will further that conversation on the municipal level as well to ensure compliance.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you how you intend to enforce this judgment.
Yes, so it's very crucial that we enforce this judgment, and what's the reason if you do these applications if you do not enforce them? So we have our strategy looking forward. We obviously want to give the regulator a chance to compile their plan to say how they will enforce it. It's just reasonable to do so. But on the other hand, it's also important that when the judgment came out, we wrote to NASA and say, don't they want to start applying the court order, even if it went on appeal? The reason for that was you don't want to be in a position where it's an administrative nightmare to reimburse individuals that have already bought electricity at that stage. And their response was basically, we're taking this on appeal, and thus the court judgment didn't have power, which is obviously correct. But now, with the appeal being dismissed, now that a judgment has now full force, and now they need to start planning on how they're going to correct this illegality.
Just a final question, Morne. This, of course, applies to more than 100, at least 112 municipalities. What about the rest?
So, as per Solga's numbers, where they assisted, they said that there's in total 160 odd municipalities that are municipal licensees, and their numbers show that 66 of these municipalities do have cost of supplies. So this is for the section of municipalities that do not have the cost of supplies. It needs to be said that further investigations now will start happening, where you go literally look at the cost of supply studies to ask the question, are the information in those cost of supply studies valid, and are they reasonable for the tariff that they are starting to apply? We have seen that there are municipalities now that are trying to put, let's say, only numbers in this cost of supply that's not founded by actual numbers. Now, obviously, if you put wrong numbers in the cost of supply, you're not going to get to the correct answer. So it's now in the continuance to do in our work to see how we can work together with other organizations to go look at the information of these cost of supply documents.
Morne Mosso, thanks so much for your time. Manager of Local Government Affairs at AfriForum. And of course, we'll take this further tomorrow with NERSA to get their perspective. And AfriForum, speaking to us there, NERSA was not authorized to approve any tariff increases unless these were based on cost of supply studies. So we'll hear what not NERSA but Salga has to say about this tomorrow, and what the impact is likely to be on those municipalities that will be affected by this.
20 outfits of the Premier League are back on the battlefield for another spectacular season, with ambitions to play the world's most competitive and compelling football.
Rodri! City 3! West Ham 1!
This is the massive fight for the ultimate glory.
Caicedo, is he going to try and beat him from inside his own half? Oh, Moises Caicedo! I can't believe it! What a way to score your first Chelsea goal!
Experience the 2024-2025 2025 Premier League season on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game. Catch me, Bonang Mateba, on a fresh reality series that showcases the business behind being a business. Get to experience an intimate look at my life with family, personal growth, and my mission to uplift young women. Jet with me as we prepare to crown a lucky chaser. Be grounded, be entertained, and be dazzled. Monday, 6 p.m. on S3, it's a date with you and B. Catch Bedazzled by Bonang on S3 every Monday at 6 p.m.
Sakina Kamwendo on SAFM.
Now, Home Affairs Minister Dr. Leon Schreiber and his departmental officials updated Parliament on a range of issues this morning. Now, it was revealed that the visa applications of the 95 Libyans who were found at a camp in Mpumalanga recently was fraught with irregularities. So let's cross now to our SABC News reporter, Abra Barbier, who was there following these developments for us because they spoke about this particular matter of the 95 Libyans. Abra, and what other matters did they touch on?
Sakina, good afternoon. You know, when I saw this story, this committee sitting on the Z list, on Parliament Z list earlier in the week, I knew it was a committee that I had to attend because I knew it would be hot. I just didn't expect to be this hot. I mean, if you were in the committee, you would have seen like wide eyes from media members, from MPs from across parties. You would have heard the gasps in shock to what was revealed. So the minister started out speaking about the shortages of staff in the department, how the department is battling with its budget and how it only has 40% of its staff available to actually do jobs like processing the various documents that Home Affairs is supposed to process. And then he spoke about the digital transformation that is desperately needed. And from there, he went on to explain that because of the issues of the poor record managing in the department, we have the situation like the recent Miss South Africa saga playing out. We have the situation with the 95 Libyan nationals found in the country. Though all of that is put down to poor records management. So what we've learned today about the Libyan nationals specifically is that there were no in-person interviews when these people applied for visas. Secondly, all the documents, their visas were handwritten. Thirdly, some of them didn't request study visas. The DIRCO official who was processing their documents, she just decided that they were going to be granted study visas. Now, this is an issue between Home Affairs and DIRCO, and they are going to be launching a joint investigation with other bodies to see what exactly the problem is. Home Affairs was very clear. They made it clear to say what the information they were sharing today was just based on preliminary investigations, but that is the fallout that we know. That's what we were told in the committee today. I'm hoping to speak to the minister later on just to find out exactly what's happening, where the breaking communication comes from, and exactly who needs to take responsibility for what happened with the Libyan nationals. On the issue of Miss South Africa, all that we were told, they basically rehashed the story as we know it, and then all that we were told again is that there are still investigations underway, and that obviously as that information is revealed, it will be shared with us. Sakina?
Well, Abra, that's all we have time for, but thanks so much for that succinct summary of what happened today. And that's our reporter in Parliament, Abra Barbier, talking to us about the Home Affairs Minister appearing there in Parliament and addressing the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs about some of the issues, the lack of proper record management and how this impacts some of the criminality that we experience in the country. I do apologize. We didn't have enough time to come back to more of your messages, and there are quite a few. Just a final one to read, perhaps. Asin Dim says, Minister, and he's tagged the Minister in this message, and says, Minister, I've just listened to Sakina interviewing a Hawks spokesperson about crime in Umtata. SAPS and Hawks are passing the buck. Who's responsible for kidnapping and extortion? I'm so embarrassed. I feel for the people of Umtata. Please help to clarify the role. And then we also received a message anonymously, but I tell you what, be with us tomorrow and we'll take this further, because this is what people are actually going through on the ground. With that, thanks so much for being with us this afternoon. It's time for the news at 1 with Mudupi Makhalimele.
Thank you very much, SK. The top story is Asawa, 4 people killed in Gqeberha shooting, and John Hlophe loses his Concord impeachment challenge. A very good afternoon. 4 males aged between 15 and 26 have been shot dead by unknown suspects at a house in Bethelsdorp in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape. Police say last night an armed suspect allegedly approached the 26-year-old house owner at his shop. 3 more suspects then arrived and gathered the deceased in the lounge where they were shot. Police spokesperson Andre Bietcha says the suspects also set a vehicle that was parked in front of the house alight.
When the suspects left the scene, they also set alight a Mercedes-Benz vehicle which was parked in front of the house. A murder case with 4 counts has been opened by the police in Bethelsdorp and is being investigated by the Police Eastern Cape Provincial Organised Crime Investigation Unit.
Advocate Tembeka Ncukaitobi has argued that former Public Protector Busi Mkhwebane is not entitled to a multi-million rand gratuity. Proceedings continue today in the High Court in Pretoria between Mkhwebane and the Public Protector's Office headed by Advocate Koleka Gcaleka. Mkhwebane was impeached last year for misconduct and incompetence. Ncukaitobi, who is arguing for the Public Protector's Office, says the letter addressed to Mkhwebane from Gcaleka this year has made it clear why she is not entitled to the extra payment.
2 documents that are then encapsulated in the letter of the 12th of February 2024 could not have created any confusion that the reason for the disentitlement to the gratuity is a removal under Section 194 of the Constitution and a passage of the resolution by the Parliament and the endorsement thereof by the President. They all make it abundantly clear that the reason is removal.
Dr. John Hlophe's bid for direct access to the Constitutional Court challenging his possible impeachment has failed. The now impeached Judge President of the Western Cape High Court turned to the Concord earlier this year ahead of the National Assembly vote on his impeachment. The Apex Court has issued an order today which found that his application does not engage the court's exclusive jurisdiction and that no case has been made for direct access. Kenny Mapanga has more.
Dr. Hlophe asked the court to, among other things, order that it was unconstitutional for Parliament not to develop rules for the impeachment of judges. He also wanted the Concord to order Parliament to develop rules for judicial impeachment, which must include a full inquiry that must have an evidence leader, witnesses, and the judge to make his submissions. In February 2024, the National Assembly vote went ahead after the filing, with 305 MPs voting in favour of his impeachment. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Gauteng Health says it has put measures in place to improve the payment of service providers within 30 days and to reduce the number of invoices that remain unpaid. Spokesperson Motala Talemudiba says that the department has implemented several mitigation measures to address the issue, recognizing the significant impact of delayed payments on suppliers, especially on emerging businesses.
We have been strengthening our processes, including our governance systems, to ensure that we deal with issues of duplication of invoices, but also that we improve when it comes to the communication with service providers, and where possible we're able to enter into payment arrangements so that we were able to amicably resolve this.
And a man arrested on suspicion of killing a number of women and dumping their bodies at a garbage dump has escaped from police custody in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. Collins Jumaisi was arrested last month in connection with the discovery of at least 8 mutilated bodies at the Kware dump site in Embakasi, Nairobi. Police say he broke out of the Kigiri police station alongside 12 Eritrean nationals. Jumaisi admitted to killing 42 women, including his wife, but his lawyer told the court that he was tortured into making a confession. The top stories at 1 o'clock, 4 males aged between 15 and 26 have been shot dead by unknown suspects at a house in Bethelosdorp in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape. For SAFM News, Ke Mudupima Khalemele. Up next, The Full Circle.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
Borussia Dortmund understands the delight that comes with triumphing the opening clash of the league race. But Eintracht Frankfurt are not about dropping points this early. They want to complete their visit to Signal Iduna Park with 3 incredible points. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Catch the hot contest between Borussia Dortmund and Eintracht Frankfurt on Saturday, 24 August at 6:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
20 outfits of the Premier League are back on the battlefield for another spectacular season with ambitions to play the world's most competitive and compelling football.
Rodri! City 3! West Ham 1!
This is the massive fight for the ultimate glory.
Masinga, is he going to try and beat him from inside his own half? Oh, Moises Caicedo! I can't believe it! What a way to score your first Chelsea goal!
Experience the 2024-2025 Premier League season on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Uyayazi lenta ifunayo mnike yona uyayazi lenta ifunayo mnike yona umengayitholi kuwe uzohambe ifuna angeke kusaba mnandi ekhaya umengayitholi kuwe uzohambe ifuna angeke kusaba mnandi ekhaya kubalulekile uzame zonke indlela zokujabulisa sinqanda mathe sakho kubalulekile uzame konke okusemandle ukuthi sijabule islavithi sakho ingozi enkulu ukuthi kufika umuntu ezama ukwenza into ongayenzi wena hayi uzosola ubani sebamchamile sebamthathile kuwe awuthi ukunyusa amasokisi uzoyazi lento ayifunayo mnike yona mnike yona uyayazi lento ayifunayo mnike yona mnike yona umengayitholi kuwe uzohambe ifuna angeke kusaba mnandi ekhaya umengayitholi kuwe uzohambe ifuna angeke kusaba mnandi ekhaya mnike ungamabeli injabulo mnike uzoba mnandi ekhaya yenza konke do all the best you can ungarelexi mele kwenze wena nike akufunayo nike akudingayo uyakwazi konke wena uyayazi lento ayifunayo mnike yona mnike yona uyayazi lento ayifunayo mnike yona mnike yona umengayitholi kuwe uzohambe ifuna angeke kusaba mnandi ekhaya umengayitholi kuwe uzohambe ifuna angeke kusaba mnandi ekhaya uyayazi lento ayifunayo mnike yona mnike yona uyayazi lento ayifunayo mnike yona mnike yona umengayitholi kuwe uzohambe ifuna angeke kusaba mnandi ekhaya umengayitholi kuwe uzohambe ifuna angeke kusaba mnandi ekhaya mnike mnike ungamnqabeli mnike mnike ungamgodleli mnike mnike ungamncishi umntana abantu mnike mnike konke ngokwakhe oh.
It is Afro Attraction coming through with Mnige. That is how we kick off the show on this fine Tuesday afternoon. I hope you are having a great day thus far. We're taking things nice and easy here, enjoying the transitioning of the seasons. It's a beautiful day in Johannesburg, and I hope the weather is holding up in your corner of the country. We've got lots in store today by way of conversations. We're going to be catching up with Dr. Ishmael Lahadeen, who is a writer and columnist and political economist, and we're going to be talking around an opinion piece that he penned down, looking at the internet's populism, and looking at the internet's populism and perhaps it being the biggest threat rather to serious columnists and opinion writers. Stages, pages, screens and more is also coming out today. The Downtown Motown show is on at the Joburg Theatre, and we're going to find out more from one of the cast that is involved in that. On the other side of 2 o'clock, because it's Tuesday, we have health and wellness matters. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this particular disorder, and that is why the doctor is in the house after 2 o'clock, and she's going to tell us more about this one. We'll tell you at around 2 what the disorder is. And then also coming up today, we're looking at steps for matric learners to deal with prelim anxiety and how families can support them through this period. This has been a recurring theme since I've taken the reins of the show. Around about exam time, we dip into these conversations just as a way of a reminder for those who are within the support ecosystem for our scholars and learners. So that's what's on the agenda today. And of course, as usual, our lines are open for you to also weigh in on our conversations. And you can find us on 086 000 2032. That's our live studio call-in number, 061 410 4107. That is our WhatsApp line. If you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note, you're more than welcome to do so. In fact, ahead of our first conversation with Dr. Ishmael Lakhadeen, the question to you is, how do you engage on X, social media platform formerly known as Twitter? How do you engage on X? I'm sure a lot of you are on X and use it on a day-to-day basis to catch up with, the news and current affairs, as well as to just engage in what is the topical conversations of the day. And when you as a user are engaging on topics on X and Facebook, particularly the platforms that allow you to engage community and have discussion and discourse, to talk about engaging topics, subject matters of conversation, particularly those that cause you discomfort, particularly those that cause you a sense of discomfort and a sense of anxiety. How do you engage on those conversations? What kind of user, communicator are you on X? 086 000 2032, 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line, and you don't have to give us your handles on the platforms. It's fine. You don't even have to give us your name. That's okay. You can be anonymous, because it is an interesting space and it forms a big part of the conversation that we're having with Dr. Ishmael. Let's take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
It has just gone 18 past 1 o'clock on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, and we're catching up now with writer, columnist, and political economist with extensive exposure and experience in global political economic affairs, Dr. Ishmael Lakhadeen. And Dr. Ishmael penned an opinion piece looking at the internet's populism being perhaps the biggest threat to serious columnists and opinion writers. And he kicks off by saying the place and purpose of commentary and of opinion writers in the news media, amongst columnists in particular, has changed significantly with the advent of social media and blogging and of the comments section of online media. But South African columnists seem to be holding their own in these times of change. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Ishmael. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for the time. Much appreciated. It's only been a pleasure. Let's kick off with, just a little excerpt that I've just read. That last line, but South African columnists seem to be holding their own in these times of change. and how rapidly and how quickly social media platforms, particularly places like X, formerly known as Twitter, and Facebook by extension, have changed the nature of discourse, not just in South Africa, but globally.
Well, it's been growing steadily, and then very rapidly in the last 10 years or so, especially with Twitter and now X, and it's access to technology, which has emboldened people and given people voice. This doesn't mean that people are measured in their responses, because you can basically say anything you like without verifying it. So technologically it's exploded, and socially it's exploded as well, and it's making contributions to political discussions. We need to evaluate whether it's good or bad. I don't believe in censorship. Most people of my generation lived through censorship in the 80s, and we know what censorship, how dangerous it is for society. So I cannot come out on the side of censorship, but I am fearful of what it does to society and community, and especially a country that's so desperately in need of cohesion, stability, and trust. So it does add to that, because I think the point I made in the Daily Maverick column is that as soon as one journalist mentioned how little we read, the responses were immediately that he was overweight, that he was obese, and that so you think, but why attack the person? Why? But even that question, my asking that question, is just silly, because we've become so used to it, because nobody takes you seriously because you're a woman, you're black, you're overweight, and so it just becomes really messy.
And in fact, you speak of that post by broadcast journalist Lester Kivitt, and the responses to it, as you say in the column, that it provoked quite obscene and deeply insulting responses, and that speaks to the nature of how we see discourse on particularly the platform X. We've seen everything that has been happening, the cause of conversation over the last couple of days, which has elicited quite robust conversation back and forth. But as you ask the question that that we should actually be contributing to political discussion, but how do we then differentiate between whether it's good or whether it's bad? How do we discern our own opinions as people engaging in conversation on these platforms? Is that even possible?
I think you actually nailed it with the word discern, and we need a lot of discernment among us as readers and producers of news. And so the way to evaluate it is to look at the language we choose, the ethics, the responsibility, and the roles we play, and also how independent we are, and whether we are intellectually honest and have integrity. So you can say, for example, the language. As a columnist and I have a responsibility to help clarify things, and to touch on things and discuss things that seem to fall between chairs. So I'll give you an example. I have written in the last 5 years. I have written about corruption, about ethical failures, about maladministration, and very many, overwhelming amount of people agreed with me. But as soon as I wrote something about John Steenhuisen, I was the worst person in the world. So there are some people and some issues and some ideas that you can't touch on. You can't discuss it. They've been ring fenced. So the point we make then is that there seems to be no balance, and the writers try to, not balance, it's not a very good word, but try to cover as many issues. But on the comment section, it's a free for all. It's I might use a phrase from Karl Marx, and immediately I'm a communist, and I like Putin, and I like the Soviet Union, and yet there's an investment a broker, and there's a financial services person who also mentioned Marx in his column, and no, but he's accepted because he's just pointing out certain things. So there's this imbalance. There are these easy answers, and we need to try and break through that. And so the columnists have a responsibility to break through that, but that burden of responsibility is not carried by comments, the comment section, or on X, because you can basically say anything you like on X.
Absolutely. 086 000 2032 061 410 4107 as we engage this conversation. We're squarely asking you to hold the mirror up to yourself and how you engage as someone who's likely to have some kind of profile on platforms like X or Facebook. How do you engage on X, formerly known as Twitter, as a user when you engage in topics or subjects of conversation, especially when we're looking at things that might cause you some kind of discomfort? Your responses in the comment section as a user and as someone who likes to be part of the conversation, are you considered as to how you present your opinion, as to how you engage community on that platform? Or are you perhaps one of those people who allows emotion to take over, and you find yourself suddenly erring more on the side of being disrespectful and being rude and, and not even fact checking some of the opinions that we so readily put out there? And we're deliberately asking the question that way because, I think part of our show and part of the conversations that we have with our guests oftentimes is to introspect on ourselves as individuals and as part of community in many ways, through many angles. So 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on, or 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line for you to send us a WhatsApp voice note. And of course, you can always send it anonymously if you so wish. You don't even have to give us your handles there. We just would like you to be honest at this time about how you engage on social media with subjects of conversation. And as from just reading the column as well, Dr. Ishmael, I wonder, to our sentiment around our individual responses to columnists, to credible sources, to people presenting an opinion that might be an alternative opinion or perspective to what we hold. What problems can we foresee perhaps that speak to the misinformation and the abuse of freedom of speech, and how, if left unchecked, that could have an adverse effect to exactly what it's designed to do?
It is potentially very dangerous for our democracy, but not just for South Africa, around the world. We've seen how people are influenced, especially in the United States with Donald Trump. But one of the problems immediately is if let's say it's the selection of facts and the isolation of other facts, and so we look at if you write something factual and you say, okay, so there's this big argument that John Steenhuisen only has a matric certificate. Now that is a fact. So, while I'm not a member of any political party, as soon as you point out, yes, but we didn't complain when Jacob Zuma was president and he didn't have a matric certificate, then immediately you hate blacks, you hate Africans, you hate the ANC, and you're protecting whites. So it's that kind of perversion and twisting. So people take facts, they take isolated facts and build entire stories on them, when there are so many, the problem with facts is that, and this is especially prevalent is people think facts arise from the ether. The point is, in fact, human beings select facts. We look for facts that tell our stories. So you and also people, there's a difference in opinion and on Twitter, for example, and on X, people will state facts but not provide evidence to support it. Now that's where a columnist has a responsibility So if I said that the ANC is in decline, I need to actually demonstrate and show where it's in decline and what do the numbers say. What are the but if you said the DA are doing well, you cannot say that. You have to say the DA. If the DA has built many houses in Western Cape, that might be a positive thing. But when you say, but then people will say, yeah, but there's a pothole in my street. Or you say the ANC has governed Johannesburg, and it's in a terrible state. I don't have to tell people. Yeah. So you can't discuss anything except the potholes.
Yeah.
So if you discuss anything, every discussion for some people has to start with Palapala. Okay. Every discussion has to start with VBS. Every discussion has to start with a DA being white. So how do you get past those facts that are selected and then framed as eternally valid and that justify all sorts of opinions? So that's how we're stumbling into discussions.
I'm going to pause us here for a second just for the headline news, Dr. Ishmael, and then we'll come back. And I want to pick up on that point as well, because there's been a lot of fire leveled towards columnists and journalists, right? Where people say, well, they even negate the stating of facts and just say, but you are presenting an opinion that is unsubstantiated, or an opinion that has been somehow, for lack of a better word now, I'll just use infiltrated by other sources. I want to come back and explore that a little bit more, and the responsibility around that to your sentiment about stating facts that are substantiated by evidence. But first, we've got the headline news.
Thank you very much, Me Masinga. With the news headlines, Kemudupi Makhalemele, good afternoon. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber has revealed that the visa applications of the 95 Libyans found at a camp in Mpumalanga recently were fraught with irregularities. The Gauteng government has taken a decision to revitalize the Joburg CBD, and 4 males aged between 15 and 26 have been shot dead by unknown suspects at a house in Petrolsdorp in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape. I'll be back with a full news update at 2.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Our lines of communication are open. Temba, I'm going to come to you in Johannesburg in just a matter of moments, as well as Kojani. I know that you've been waiting on the line. And then we're going to go to our WhatsApp on 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. Dr. Ishmael, as you talk about, presenting facts, but not presenting the evidence, that's oftentimes where, at least from my lame advantage, when I look at discourse on social media, oftentimes that is what is fueling the commentary in the comment section, is that people then tend to take this perspective that columnist A or journalist A have a one-dimensional angle, or they have an ulterior agenda, because there's no opinion is being presented, but without the substantiating facts, or without the fairness that should also come sometimes with those who hold roles in these industries. What say you of that criticism that is oftentimes present in the comment section?
Well, actually, that is a very, very important distinction to make. Let me just say, on the Zoom call with you, I see that you're wearing a gray cap. Now, I can say, I don't like that cap. It doesn't look good. That is an opinion.
Yeah.
It is not. I cannot describe that as objective. And this is the problem with our, in general. Now, I don't like being called doctor, but but I have to be careful. I do have a doctorate, but that's irrelevant. The point is we are generally, our education system has failed us in very many ways, perhaps not you and I directly, but this generation that's coming up. And even though I come from colored affairs, blah, 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 the point is we don't seem to understand the difference between opinion writing, columnists, commentary, and factual writing. So that is why you see sometimes at the bottom of a column the column, a column, they say so and so, Rufilwe or whomever was a medical doctor and a psychiatrist. So then you think you're expected to say, okay, Rufilwe or Joseph has experience because she or he was a medical doctor, and that's where their opinions are based on. That is so. The opinion columnists are taken because they bring discussions forward, and it's based on the opinion. So there's a difference between opinion and factual reporting, and this is one of the problems that we have is people don't seem to understand that difference. I mean, I once responded to someone who said that the EFF will be the government in 2024. And that is a fact. So I asked, but it hasn't happened yet. How can something be a fact that hasn't happened yet? And the immediate blowback was, I hate the EFF, I hate black people, I hate the African child. And you think, but all I'm asking is to clarify, when does something become a fact? And that is the difference we have. People just can't seem to. So if I, don't like your T-shirt, it's an opinion that I state.
Yeah.
And that is the difference that we that's a problem we have.
Yeah. Temba, how are you doing? Temba?
Ma'am?
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you actually hosting a guy who has written over about 4 decades when I was a student. Yeah, he inspired me. Bridget, yeah, the thing is, we must accept that there will be criticism towards columnists. I write myself, I'm a writer, I'm a journalist, I'm a columnist, I'm a lecturer, I'm a media trainer. So there will be, we sharing ideas where we delve deeper into certain issues that people normally would like to close. Therefore, then, those pages are festival of ideas where one can dig deeper into certain issues. So each made a reference about John Steinleitner. We should not be apologetic that there will be those who really feel it touchy when we raise certain things and we put facts on the table. Because at the end of the day, we are not going to keep quiet, turn a blind eye, expected to see no evil, hear no evil, or say no evil, or be praising us. We want praising us as columnists. We write also to inform, also to educate, to expand on issues that people don't normally look at succinctly, deeper and clearly. But in terms of politics, people normally get touchy, they call you names, you have an agenda. But my question was, who doesn't have an agenda? My agenda is to write, to entertain, to educate, to inform. There's nothing more, nothing less. As long as I'm factual and I'm telling the truth, that's what matters the most for columnists and in every publication.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Temba, as a columnist yourself, do you find that there is room also for the sort of the practitioners within your space to also take a moment to assess? Because as you say, you are presenting a perspective, right, that is part based on facts, part based on experience, observation. And so we also, you cannot negate the fact that to some degree, perhaps at times, even our own personal experience and perspective filter into views and opinions. Even, colleagues who work here who are journalists, I'm not a journalist, will often say that, yes, my personal experience and perspective will at times filter in. Do you find there's room to also have that conversation, but obviously within parameters of some kind of, I guess, or within certain parameters where that discourse can be allowed, to say how much are columnists introspecting as well and just assessing their own perceptions?
You're quite right. It's important that we also turn the mirror and look at ourselves, how we write, the kind of language we use, the kind of words we use. But also look at what is the objective. The objective is not to be destructive. The objective is to create a festival of ideas where we talk about certain issues that we normally gloss over. Therefore, then it's also important for us to reflect. How do we reflect? One, we also get feedback from people that we have written about, people who have read our columns. Like my latest column was basically in the Sowetan 2 weeks ago, was about the DA is muddying the waters when it comes to the government of national unity. Every now and then, Helen Zille opens her mouth, she muddies the waters. That's what I write. And I put it on the table and I said, one of the things that this mentality of saying the DA led Western Cape, the DA minister, that is quite nonsensical. They are in a government of national unity. Therefore, we shouldn't allow that kind of language to creep in.
Yeah, Themba, unfortunately we lost you there, but I think I got the gist also. Gojani in Kroonstad, let me jump to you quickly before I go into this break. How are you?
I'm thank you yourself. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Go ahead.
Look, some of us, I'm in the Free State, and I've been working in local government for over 20 years. I see what is happening, and I also have experience of writing. I used to write. I used to be on electronic and print media. I worked as a spokesperson before. But then how do you, maybe your expert can advise, how do you write to a newspaper telling the truth about any municipality in the Free State while you know that you're going to be victimized? There is no freedom of expression.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Kujani. I think we're also chasing time on our end. Just a quick one. Champ on WhatsApp says juxtaposing Steenhuisen to Zuma will invite criticism and facts aren't neutral. People have a right to question or challenge the opinions fact that comes with privilege and privilege supremacy. Columnists do have agendas, whether it's perceived or caused how this journalists present themselves regularly. That was Champ in Midrand. Ismail, from your end, I have to wrap it, but just sort of on the back of the last three comments.
Yeah, actually, the last, Spotukayele is just very kind. He says nice things about me all the time, and I just ignore him. But but he's absolutely correct in what he says. I have no agenda. I mean, I learn with every column I write. I find new things every time I write. And somebody wrote a review of something that I wrote, and I was surprised that they saw these things, and I didn't see it. So it's up for discussion. And the last person is also very, very right. It's not a right comparison between Zuma's educational qualifications and Steenhuisen's qualifications. But two things can be true at the same time. Zuma led the country and without finishing high school. Steenhuisen finished high school. So those are two facts. But the other facts are also true. Steenhuisen has had privilege and advantage. Zuma has not. So, we need to understand that facts can be two different things can be true at the same time. The thing about our agenda, I can honestly say you will never know what my agenda is. Now, this is not going public, but I will ask you to read. I have a sticker here above my desk. I'll ask you to read just one line of the sticker at the bottom here and at the top. And then you can tell.
They haven't switched on my camera. They suck, so I can't even see the sticker. Yes.
It says as is being a location and as Kawadu Daki. So that basically, I'm never going to write that.
Yes.
But so those are my views. It's just, we need to build our society. We need to strengthen our society. And that includes asking the difficult questions, the hard questions. We need to ask, why is it that when I was growing up at Kliptown and Mofolo and various places, we had these gardens on the edges of our street where we built gardens and we cleaned up the trash and all that. But now suddenly, garbage in El Dorado Park is piling up. What has changed since then? Since then, we cleaned up our townships. Now we don't clean up our townships. Now we want the government to clean up our townships. So those are the kind of difficult and uncomfortable questions we need to ask. And we will continue. I have no agenda other than learning and finding out new things. So,
absolutely.
I can't say that.
Dr. Ismail Lahadeen, as much as you don't like being referred to as doctor, thank you for the time this afternoon. It's fast approaching 2:45. I know we didn't get around to your voice notes, but we will find some time to sneak it in as the show continues. And the question is still on the table. How do you engage on platforms like X, especially as a user, when you are engaging with a discourse? Are you more combative, confrontational? Are you open to new ideas? Are you open to to your perspective being challenged? Are you open to sit in the discomfort of the examination of how you think? And obviously that also doesn't mean that you yourself are not allowed and permitted to then also question and interrogate the information that's been presented to you, particularly by those who consider themselves columnists or journalists. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line.
Big ups to all the women of Africa Tonga. Incredible characters in various fields. When you set your mind onto something, your winning mentality is difficult to defeat. On and off the field. Your excellence in the world of sport speaks volumes. You are the great inspiration to the nation. Happy Women's Month, courtesy of SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day, where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
You could get a great deal on your car insurance premium when you call Outsurance. Be like 53-year-old Nero, who pays only 1,059 Rand to insure his white 2023 Ford Ranger XLDC with Outsurance. Get a quote now. It's easy. Simply SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754 now. Outsurance is a licensed FSP and T's and C's do apply.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Sometimes on this show we are chasing literal seconds, and today is no different. For stages, pages, screens and more, we're catching up with Bongi Acha, who is a musician, and the show, the Downtown Motown, is on at the Joburg Theatre. How are you, Bongi? You good?
Hey, I'm good. How are you, B?
I'm great, thank you. Let's get straight into it. We literally just have moments. Talk to us about the Downtown Motown, and you're presenting well, it's a new show that you're debuting.
Yes. Hello to all your listeners and hello everyone at the station. Yeah, my name is Bongi Archie. Yeah, it's a new show that I'm bringing to Johannesburg. It's got all your favorite songs that we grew up with, because Motown music is timeless music. It's music that's gonna make everyone feel good, and it's going down the 29th of August, still celebrating Women's Month. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone there. It's really a good show.
Yeah. Is it just you and the band, or have you put together an entire sort of, what's the structure?
Yes, it's me and a 6-piece band. I've got a brass section. It's like, but they're all South African musicians, guys that came together, and they couldn't wait to jump on this project. So, it's just me on leads, and then obviously we're building up to bring more and exciting shows to Joburg.
Yeah. Now, when we say it's Downtown Motown, we know has quite the extensive catalog. So, what can people be looking forward to? Whose music are you going to be presenting and covering on the night?
Oh, look, we gotta cover the big names first. Your Stevie Wonders, your Ray Charles, your Jackson 5, your Temptations. We gotta cover your, Lionel Richie. The list goes on. So it's just the big names that I'll be doing a lot of mashups with, a lot of medleys. So I just want the people to stay on their feet. I don't talk a lot in my shows. It's always just about the hit music. That's me. Yeah.
I like it. So it's happening at the Joburg Theatre, and of course you're presenting it on the Lisedi stage. By way of dates and costings?
Look, everyone can get their tickets at joburgtheatre.com or web tickets, or the tickets are 200 Rand only, and it's happening on the 29th, and the show starts at 7 p.m. sharp.
The 29th of this month?
Of this month, yes. It's in 2 weeks' time.
One night only?
One night only. This is a one-night spectacular.
Okay, well, listen, it sounds like a great night of fun. Abongi Acha coming through with a 6-piece live band, and as you heard, performing all the greats by the Motown greats themselves. The Downtown Motown is the name of the show. We definitely are looking forward to this one, Bongi. I think it's a beautiful way to kick off spring.
Yes, and that's what I said. It's a beautiful way to say goodbye to Women's Month, which Women's Day never end. It's every day Women's Day, Women's Month, because we love women so much. And it's spring getting into because my birthday month next month. So I just think it's a fabulous way to say goodbye to the full month and hello to a brighter month. Yeah.
There we go. Hopefully it's going to be a packed house. Thank you so much for the time this afternoon. If you are enticed, Joburg Theatre's website or web tickets has you covered with the Downtown Motown ticket sales. 29th of August for one night only, and tickets are selling for 200 Rand per ticket. It's 10 to 2 o'clock. It's time for us to get into Kids Corner. And then, of course, Madupi is coming through at the top of the hour with your news.
The Market Update, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m.
Want to stay ahead of the financial game? Join us tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. for an insightful journey through the day's market developments, financial updates, and investment news. Tune in for your daily dose of financial intelligence as we navigate the twists and turns of the financial landscape with expert insights. Only on the SAFM Market Update.
SAFM Market Update with Jimmy Muyaha. You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
My name is Raphael. I am 8 years old. I learn at Parktown Public School. The reason why I wash my hand is because I don't want the germs to come on my hands. So I wash them before I eat and after before I eat. I have once forgotten to wash my hands after I eat, and the germs spread it all around my hands. Thank you. My name is Kushengosi. My surname is Shabang. I'm in grade 3B. My school is Parktown Public School. The reason to wash our hands is because we don't want them to get germs. And I wash my hands before eating and after going to the toilet. I have once forgotten to wash my hands, and then I had hiccups because I was playing with my friends and I was so happy. And I forgot to wash my hands. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joy. My surname is Ernest. I am in grade 3B. I wash my hands every day, and before I eat and after going to the toilet. I think it's important to wash my hands because the germs will get over your body and you will get sick and you will not be able to sleep at night. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen. My surname is Kope. I am in grade 4A. I wash my hands before I eat and I wash my hands after going to the bathroom or after eating. The thing that I think is important for children to know how to wash their hands, they have to wash their hands because they will get sick if they don't wash their hands. I think for children to be interested of washing their hands is to make posters for children to learn how to wash hands and teachers to teach us to wash our hands. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Pelanges. My surname is Butelesi. I think washing your hands is important because if you came out of the toilet and you start eating, that will be dangerous for you. The germs are dangerous for you and your health. So I think that you should wash your hands if you come out of the toilet, so your health will be fine. Use soap and water. That will be good for your health. Thank you.
My name is Netemba. My surname is Pavuma. I am in grade 4.
I think it is important to wash your hands because there are germs all over the world, and it is good to wash your hands because when you eat, there's the germs in your spoon that didn't wash your spoon well, so you must wash your hands, and you wash the spoon before you give your parents, and you must rinse a cup before you use it, and you must wash your hands with soap and water. What can be done to help us as children? We must put posters all over the world to tell people that they must wash their hands. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Yolanda Mzobe. I am 10 years old. I learn in Patsan Public School. So I think what should be done for us as children to wash our hands, I think in the world there should be many taps and water, and they should tell us to wash our hands. But it's not a must for them to tell us because it's for our own good. We are supposed to care for each other and ourselves. So I think there should be taps and water everywhere, because in some places there are no water where people can wash their hands, and sometimes I cannot eat without washing my hands. Sometimes I do wash my hands. When I'm in a hurry, I wash my hands first. When I go out, I feel like no, I didn't wash my hands properly. Then I go back and wash them. Then I feel like then I go and eat. I cannot stay without washing my hands in a day.
Hello, my name is Mandisa Sobuza. I am 10 years old. I'm in grade 5B in Pakistan Public School. They should put everywhere a tap that has water, that contains water, a lot of water around South Africa, because some of the parts in South Africa do not have water to bath and even drink. Some people die because of not washing their hands. They take the virus that they get outside. That's why I normally wash my hands no matter what. I wash my hands because it's a safe and good thing to do, because if you don't wash your hands, you are taking all the things that are very bad outside. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Adiba Osentumire. I am 10 years old. I think it's important to wash your hands because it will not make you sick, because the virus is spreading around the world. So the advice I'm gonna give to children is to make a catchy song to make them wash their hands every day, before eating, after eating, after playing, those things. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Moiponi Malevesi. I am 11 years old. What I think can be done for children to be encouraged to wash their hands is for friends to encourage them, maybe in the morning after they've eaten and after using the restroom. And we all go as a group to wash our hands. I think the importance of it is so that not to get germs and things like that, so that you won't get sick.
Hi, my name is Bushi. My surname is Lituli. I am 11 years old. I think we should get reminded every time when, maybe when we go to the restroom or we eat, we get reminded after eating or going to the restroom that we must always wash our hands after doing that. It's very important because if we don't wash our hands, we might get sick, and we don't know what kind of sickness we'll get. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Susan Ntlantla. My surname is Butelezi. I am in grade 6C. I am 11 years old. I learn at Pakistan Public School. Yes, I found myself forgetting to wash my hands after going to the loo. After forgetting to wash my hands, I felt really sad that how could I forget such an important thing like this? So I went back and washed my hands. I think it's important to wash our hands because if we go to the loo and we are about to eat, we might put our hands inside our mouth and we can get diseases that are so evil. Thank you.
Hello friends and happy Tuesday. Today we're diving into a topic that's really important. It's a simple action, but it plays a huge role in keeping us healthy. Our hands come into contact with countless surfaces every day, like doorknobs, books, and even our furry friends. These surfaces can harbor germs that are invisible to the eyes. If we touch our faces, food, or others without washing our hands, those germs can lead to illnesses. That's why regular hand washing is so important. By washing our hands often, We can eliminate germs that cause common illnesses like colds, flu, and stomach bugs. Germs spread quickly, especially in crowded places like schools. Keeping our hands clean not only protects us, but also safeguards our friends, family, and everyone around us. It's important to wash our hands at the right moments. Always remember to wash before meals, after using the restroom, after outdoor play, or after sneezing or coughing. Even if your hands seem clean, they can carry germs. The best way to clean them is with soap and water, as soap effectively removes those pesky germs. Proper hand washing technique is key too. Use warm water and soap, and make sure to scrub every part of your hands, including between your fingers and under your nails. Aim to wash for at least 20 seconds, about the time it takes to sing happy birthday twice. After washing, dry your hands with a clean towel or let them air dry. Hand washing is one of the simplest yet most effective ways to maintain our health. It helps stop the spread of germs and keeps us and those around us safe from getting sick. Let's all make hand washing a regular part of our routine, especially at important times. By doing so, we can protect ourselves and contribute to a healthier community for everyone.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives.
Essential cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. Simply SMS CAR to 43187 now.
The top stories at 2 o'clock. Home Affairs systems under the spotlight and 4 people killed in a Gqeberha shooting. A very good afternoon. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber has revealed that the visa applications of the 95 Libyans found at a camp in Mpumalanga recently were fraught with irregularities. He updated Parliament on a range of issues this morning. Schreiber initially addressed the Home Affairs Committee on the lack of proper records management in the country and how this opens the country up to criminality. It was then revealed how this lack of digital transformation and proper record keeping is at the core of the department's problems. This became clear as the department unpacked how the issue around these Libyan nationals and the Miss SA saga unfolded. The Gauteng government has taken a decision to revitalize the Joburg CBD. Premier Panyazali Sufi says the deplorable state of the city centre cannot be fixed by the municipality alone, but needs a partnership with all spheres of government and the private sector. The Sufi says the current state of the CBD is embarrassing.
In the first 2 weeks of taking a decision to intervene, we've managed to persuade many companies that wanted to leave the CBD. They are now staying. We have also attracted back Transnet, which was also leaving the CBD. They are coming back. They are putting an investment of their new offices of almost 400 million. We are taking over the old Carlton Hotel. We are converting it to apartments within 2 weeks of taking a decision to invest. So we will continue to do it, and the Hampepe Commission will assist us to determine who owns some of these particular buildings.
4 males aged between 15 and 26 have been shot dead by unknown suspects at a house in Bethelsdorp in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape. Police say last night an armed suspect allegedly approached the 26-year-old house owner at his door. 3 more suspects then arrived and gathered the deceased in the lounge where they were shot. Police spokesperson Andre Pietra says the suspects also set a vehicle that was parked in front of the house alight.
When the suspects left the scene, they also set alight a Mercedes-Benz vehicle which was parked in front of the house. A murder case with 4 counts has been opened by the police in Bethelsdorp and is being investigated by the Police Eastern Cape Provincial Organised Crime Investigation Unit.
Tourism Minister Patricia de Lille says the sector should focus more on growing and diversifying the township economy. She was addressing delegates at the launch of Tourism Month in Galeshewe, Kimberley in the Northern Cape. De Lille says that her department has signed an agreement with Google to sell hidden tourism attractions.
South Africa is not just about safaris and Table Mountain. There a lot of untapped potential of getting tourism going in our townships, in our villages, and our small dorpies. There are a lot of hidden gems there. And that is why I want to work very hard that we identify and put those hidden gems onto the map.
And police in Kenya say a man accused of murdering 42 women has escaped from custody along with a dozen other detainees. Collins Jumaisi Kalusha was among a group said to have cut through a fence at a police station in Nairobi. More from the BBC's Ian Wafula.
A police spokesperson said Collins Jumaisi Kalusa and 12 others had escaped by cutting through wire mesh at the police station and scaling a perimeter wall. Last month, the police said Mr. Kalusa had confessed to murdering 42 women, including his own wife. They said mutilated bodies were found at a rubbish dump in the capital, Nairobi. However, a defense lawyer later told the court that he had been tortured and coerced into making the confession.
The top story at 2 o'clock, Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber has revealed that the visa applications of the 95 Libyans found at a camp in Mpumalanga recently were fraught with irregularities. For SAFM News, Kimudupima Khalemeli.
And that's the news for this hour. Theft, accident and 1 million rand liability cover, all covered by OUTsurance Essential. Get a quote today by SMSing car to 43187. Your own panel beater is like your favorite holiday destination. Not everyone's top 10, but perfect for you. OUTsurance gets it. And that's why with OUTsurance Essential, your claim is paid out in cash so you can use your own panel beater. Also get up to 1 million rand liability cover and other great benefits at a low cost. OUTsurance Essential is priced for cars older than 5 years and valued at under 125,000 rand and not financed. SMS car to 43187 or call 08600 60,000 today. OUTsurance is a licensed FSP and T's and C's do apply.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
The Serengeti, located on the northern part of Tanzania, bordering Kenya on the north and Ngorongoro in the south. Home to the African Big Five and millions of zebras, birds and other predators. Serengeti 2 returns to the unspoiled corner of the Serengeti for more animal drama. There's humor, heartbreak and nail-biting tension as new characters move in and familiar faces continue their stories. Channel your inner adventurer with Serengeti 2, Sundays at 6 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Every day our children are exposed to relentless marketing of unhealthy foods where they live, learn and play. This aggressive marketing of unhealthy foods to children can shape their eating habits and food preferences for the rest of their lives. I'm your host, Crystal Audison. Is Big Food stalking our children? Watch Chew on This on healer.org on Thursday, 15th August at 3 p.m.
18 teams are back on the hunting ground. No one wants a loss or a draw. They are all searching for maximum points in every encounter. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. Do not miss out on the 2024-2025 Bundesliga season. Catch the action live on Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Nkanu kala yorojana ale maso segima. Njarabi kala yorojana ale maso segima. Nterini ngabe diza ni jarabi mba fega nyalo nyala. Nterini ngabe diza ni kanu. I want to know.
It is a firm favorite in my music files, probably one of the most played songs in my music library at any given year since it came out. And I often say this, it combines two of my favorite people. Of course, the sounds of Fatumata Diawara coming through with Intirni. And on the video production of this is one other phenomenal creative, Ida Mulana from Ethiopia. And of course, now we have the Killian Music remix, which debuted a couple of months ago and first played by DJ Black Coffee ahead of his summer circuit in Europe. And once he played it, everybody was searching for it. Everybody was looking for that particular Killian dance remix. It's now available for download wherever you get your music. And that is how we enter the second hour of the show. It's fast approaching 2:15 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga on SAFM, leading the conversation. Because it's Tuesday, we have a health and wellness skew on a Tuesday after 2:00, and today we are going to be in conversation with Dr. Kitumetsi Mashego, who is a clinical psychologist, a speaker, an author, a mindset, performance, and life coach. You've got a lot on your plate there, Dr. Dumi. How are you doing today? Dr. Dumi? Am I on mute, Dr.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, sorry, I was on mute.
It's all
Thank
right.
you so much for having me. Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's only a pleasure, and we thank you for making the time for us. Much appreciated. So let's get into it, and hopefully I don't, completely veer off with the pronunciation of what is known as PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, well, it's premenstrual dysphoric disorder. You've said it quite correctly.
Close, but not quite.
Yeah, but I mean, it's always the potato.
Let's get into it. What is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD, as it's otherwise known?
So what usually happens with people who go on the menstrual cycle, females, they get what we call premenstrual disorder, whereby, PMS, as we call it, sometimes for short, whereby people, it differs for different people. Some people have tender breasts, cravings, they become a little bit irritable, emotional. But when it's PMDD or premenstrual dysphoric disorder, this is a severe extension of PMS. So it's far beyond the typical PMS symptoms in that it becomes really debilitating sometimes to some people, whereby they actually need medication. Meaning psychiatric medication, because the presentation, interferes with their daily functioning, be it, personally, if they're working occupationally, or if they're attending school, it impacts even that. So it's a severe form of PMS.
All right. So if one sort of experiences PMS, right? Unfortunately, not all of us do, but if you happen to experience PMS, how do you then know when it's sort of crossed over into the premenstrual dysphoric disorder? When do you know that it's now the intensity of it now classifies it as PMDD?
It's the severity.
Dr. Dumi, let's just try and call you back on a different line. We're just losing connection every so often. The words drop out. So we're going to try and switch lines with Dr. Dumi and call her back on a different line. By the way, our lines are still open on 086 000 2032 and 0614104107. We're going to double back after this conversation to our earlier conversation that we had with Dr. Ishmael. And the question that was on the table there for you was, how do you engage on social media? What is sort of your persona or your role when engaging discourse and conversation, topics of debate on social media, particularly on platforms like X, where we also have a tendency to go unchecked as those in the comment section, we have a tendency to really skirt on a line of at times maybe even being rude, at times being very abrasive, being quite argumentative and combative, and I wonder, where do you sort of sit on that scale of how one engages conversation, how one exchanges with other people on communities like X and Facebook? 086-000-2032 and of course 0614104107. Let's take a quick break here and then we'll come back and we'll continue with our conversation with Dr. Dumi.
Weeknights on S3 are all about winning and winning big with Wheel of Fortune. For the first time in South Africa, Wheel of Fortune is on S3, Monday to Friday at 7:30 p.m, where Rorisang has South Africans locked into the world of word puzzles. Watch contestants spin the wheel to stand a chance of walking away with 100,000 Rand or a car valued at over 500,000 Rand. You can also be part of the show and win big. To be part of the show, log on to wheeloffortunesa.tv and let the wheel decide your fate. Channel your inner wordsmith with Wheel of Fortune SA on S3. Open up.
Yeah, we can do this. It's been a long time coming. This deserves to grow. It's a great business. If they don't like it, someone else will. And fund me so I can expand. Maybe I can offer them shares. I need to retain equity for staff. It's going to be good for recruitment. Yeah.
Possible begins with that one great idea. When Telkom enables entrepreneurs to make their ingenuity a reality, we grow local economies. Telkom. Possible begins here.
SABC Sport, the proud broadcaster of the Olympic Games Paris 2024, celebrates Team SA medalists.
A brilliant silver for Johan van Dijk.
The plan was to win a medal. That was the goal. So I'm just so grateful and thankful that everything went as it should. For me, it's to be an inspiration to all the younger girls in South Africa. There's so much power and passion. I think our South African women really have a lot of resilience.
For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Okay, let's try again in conversation with Dr. Kitumetsi, aka Dumi Mashego, and we're talking around PMDD. If you just missed it at the beginning of this conversation, it just started a moment ago, so you didn't miss too much. We're talking around premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and this is a mood disorder that's caused by female hormones, where there's all kinds of symptoms that occur during the menstrual period. And it is, as the doc said, it is a severe extension of PMS. And I was saying, Doc, you know, how do we gauge when we've sort of crossed that Rubicon from PMS into PMDD?
So the symptoms of PMDD are more severe in that, you know, with PMS, you would see that, you know, it's few days before the period, then it eases up the symptoms. But with PMDD, they are still quite severe in that, you know, it's extreme sadness and the emotion part of it, the emotional, you know, the fluctuation in mood is more severe in that the depression is at a level whereby it might actually need medication because of its severity. So it's not just, you know, the depression that is just 2 days before, then it sort of eases up. It is usually more severe, and also just the irritability can also be present, and some people struggle with anxiety at that time. So it's the behavioral emotional element that is you know, more extreme than PMS. And you know, with diagnosing it, we chart your symptoms, you know, as it's progressing to see actually how severe is it consistently severe. And unfortunately, with the onset of things like perimenopause, it can actually be exacerbated by that. So the depression is not explained by the typical MDD, major depression disorder symptoms, but it's actually related to the menstrual cycle of a female.
So from what I'm understanding, then also one of the differentiators with PMDD is that it speaks more to the psychological symptoms of PMS, right? When we talk about the mood swings, the sadness, the depression, the irritability, the anxiety, it more so heightens that more than just the physicalness of the cramping and the discomfort and the headaches that might come with PMS, for instance.
Definitely. And there is, like typical depression, some people struggle with cognitive distortions whereby they are just so hard on themselves, they're unable to just have a good perspective about life. So it's almost like a typical depression episode whereby the mood is quite severe. It's extreme sadness and hopelessness, and in spite of the other things, the physical symptoms as well, and things like also poor concentration, the fatigue as well. And there can be also physical symptoms like water retention and weight gain. And so it's almost like a PMS quadrupled, yes, and unbearable, and it must interfere with daily functioning, meaning that the person really is impacted to the extent that they have to be booked off, for example. That is when some of them we need to refer or put them on a mild antidepressant to manage the symptoms. So the PMDD becomes a little bit harder to manage than the PMS.
And I definitely want to look into the treatment and management plan, but maybe before we get there, the causes of PMDD obviously being hormonal, but what happens that is so different for those that are sort of suffering PMDD to just the normal hormonal imbalances that happen every 25 days or so?
As human beings, we are unique. So with mental health disorders such as PMDD, because it is considered, somewhat of a mental health challenge because it impacts one so severely sometimes. So because we are so unique, some people are more predisposed to mental health challenges than others. And I always give the example that, you can have two people coming from the same background, but one is more predisposed to cancer and the other is not, or for sometimes predisposed to diabetes or cholesterol, even though physically when we look at them outwardly, they might not be a typical person who can have diabetes, but genetically they are predisposed to it. So with mental health challenges, it's also that way. That's why you then get some people who have PMS, some have the exacerbated PMS, the PMDD, and others do not. And it goes hand in hand with someone who is prone to have depression or even perfectionism. So it's also just about the brain wiring and also how we deal with stress, because stress is also a factor when it comes to the hormones and the way they fluctuate as well. And even when we look at someone with PMDD, we want to look at their lifestyle changes, some things they can try, but over and above that, sometimes it requires one to be put on medication to manage the mood, even the hormones as well.
Yeah, let's get into the treatment plan or the management plan for this, because I presume then, as you say, every case is different, so there's no cookie cutter formula as to what we do. But what are the options?
The lifestyle changes or lifestyle things that you can try is, for example, introducing exercise. And sometimes when we talk about exercise, people think we want them to be competitive athletes. And I think, you can go for a walk more often than not, as in 15 minutes, 3 times in a week. That, is something, just keep moving and watching how you handle your stress management and your diet. Which is difficult because in that period now you're craving so many things, but over and above that, when you are in a more stable mood, just introducing a healthier diet, cutting down on things like alcohol and smoking and caffeine, and really trying things like your mindfulness things, yoga, meditation, and just ways to regulate your body in a way where it is possible. But of course then we sometimes then need to refer you for that hormonal balance medication or something to do with antidepressant of sort to help you manage this thing, because it is, as I said, a diagnosis that requires medication sometimes.
And Dr. Dumi, does it when we talk about PMS, different women experience PMS at different stages. Some never really get PMS. Sometimes it phases in, it phases out. Do we see similar sort of ways and patterns with PMDD, that one could have severe PMDD at particular stages and ages, and then without even medical intervention, it kind of just, I don't know what the word is, I want to say just weans itself out, or the hormones balance and things recalibrate?
You do get cases where it does become severe, but also you can get someone who is, for example, just starting their menstrual cycle and they already have such severe PMDD, but with also, the introduction of things like perimenopause, where, it's about really the challenges with the hormones within, the human body, that's when it can also be exacerbated in that time, and with the irregularity of periods also for some. And there's so many things that can happen with the reproductive system, the challenges thereof. Therefore, PMDD can be exacerbated by that. But also just the emotional functioning of the person, because stress does count. When I, for example, have my clients and they say they were highly emotional and they're unable to actually put their finger on it, I always ask about the cycle, even in my questioning of, trying to uncover the source of their sadness or the extreme tearfulness that they don't understand. So the hormones cannot be underestimated in the role that they play in the female's functioning, emotional functioning or psychological functioning. So it really plays a role, but it's also very abstract in that we cannot quite, it's not a tangible thing that we can see, but it's something that should be considered all the time, because it really plays a significant role.
Yeah, I want to hold on to you for just a moment or two, but first let's get into the headline news, and then we'll come back on the other side of this.
A very good afternoon. With the news headlines, Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber has revealed that the visa applications of the 95 Libyans found at a camp in Mpumalanga recently were fraught with irregularities. The city of Cape Town has invested about 7 million rand in a new digital hub tracking system for water and sanitation infrastructure. And the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in Egypt, where he's expected to continue his push for a ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza. Details of these and other stories, 3 o'clock.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
As we wind down on our conversation with Dr. Dumi Mashego, and we're talking PMDD. Doc, so for any woman that is listening, I feel as if for the last couple of months we've focused a lot on just the nuanceness of the woman's menstrual cycle, as well as our reproductive systems and all the things that for years have gone unchecked and missed or misdiagnosed, and for women that are listening right now and who are thinking, well, maybe I'm ticking all the boxes here, maybe this is just, it's not normal PMS per se. What is then that first step? Who do we see first? Are we seeing the GP first? Are we seeing a psychologist first? Where are we going to?
The first step of you would be then to go to your gynae, if you are able to, so that they can map out exactly what could be going on there in terms of your symptoms, because one with if someone is presenting with such, there could be something going on also with their cycle, because sometimes I think as women we don't actually sit and study and understand our cycle, right? Why? So with a gynae then you are able to actually do that. And then they can also then take it up further to say, this could be what you have, which is PMDD, which is then requiring obviously more intervention, which could mean also seeing a clinical psychologist. And I think also, as you rightfully say, it's so complex, the reproductive system, because there's things like, your endometriosis, the PCOS, there's cysts, there's fibroids, there's so many things. So I think a gynae, just to rule out, the physical condition, to see what could be happening, and then also working together with a clinical psychologist who can also then refer to for psychiatric medication if need be to manage the condition. Because what happens is the gynae can also recommend obviously their own intervention for if there is some hormonal imbalance or something happening at that level, or to also see if there's perimenopause. There's it's striking early nowadays. People as young as 30 are getting it, and whether it's all those things, just to ensure that physically you are managed, but also then bringing in the behavioral or emotional aspect of it by introducing health professionals like myself.
Yeah, and as you go through the laundry list of other things that the gynae can rule out, I've become quite the spokesperson for adenomyosis after a recent diagnosis, and I'm just like, everyone must also forget the cousin to endometriosis that often goes misdiagnosed or overlooked. Let's also touch on holistically. We have a few regular listeners of the show who always come through on WhatsApp with, well, before we get into the Western medication of how to deal with things, is there a way that, or things that people, or even just a point of research where people can go and get more clued in about maybe a holistic or homeopathic way of tackling PMDD?
I always say to people that you're welcome to try those things, and there's some that work. The challenge is what worked for Bridget might not work for Dumi. So it's okay to do that, to give it a chance to really do the research. As I said, changing your diet and doing that. But at the end of the day, if those things are not giving you the quality of life or relieving some of the symptoms, and it's not to say that the medical way will also relieve, because you get people who are struggling with, for example, perimenopause, and they are not able to be helped medically because of there is just a limited way in which they can be helped, or what worked for one person is not working for the other person. And there's just so many things. I feel like there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of researching what can work for these hormonal challenges that happen to females, because really there is not enough being done, in my view. Yeah, we are really still lacking, because if you look at the people who come in and they become, I have people who say, I feel like I became 80 overnight because of, perimenopause or becoming or entering menopause. So really there's still a lot of work to be done, because yes, we are doing the best that we can, but I feel like there's still a long way to go. So yes, if there are things that work, yes, people are welcome to give it a try. But also that if you do end up, for example, having to take an antidepressant to manage this, that it's okay as well. Because as I said, it's because of the neurotransmitters, the brain chemistry, that sometimes you are predisposed to it, that actually the medication will give you a better quality of life, or manage those things better. Absolutely. So that you can thrive.
Absolutely. Dr. Dumi, we thank you so much for the time today. That was Dr. Kitumetsi Mashego, who is a speaker and of course author, mindset, performance and wellness coach, and a qualified clinical psychologist. That is how we wrap up this conversation on PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. We learn something new every day on the show, and this is the purpose of why we put the show together, in fact. And while we're on that, by the way, ladies, it's a good idea to just track your cycle. I use this really cool app. It's not an advert for them, but I've shared it with my gynecologist. I've shared it with my specialist gynecologist. When you've gone through sort of infertility issues like I have. You have a whole roster of specialist doctors that are looking after you for various reasons. And I use this app called Clue, and it's just spelled CLUE, Clue. And it's really, really good. You know, it's a good tracker of your menstrual cycle, which is what I kind of just started using it for initially when you're trying to get pregnant and you need to track your cycle, track when you're ovulating. And it tracks all kinds of things for you. It tracks everything from your flow to your feelings, to your pain, to your sleep quality, to your energy levels, to your PMS levels. You can add all kinds of interesting notes there, to medications and things that you must be taking, all kinds of things. Social life, craving, yonke into skin, hair, weight, and it goes a really long way also when you're going through for your annual consults with your doctors and they ask you certain things. And as I say, especially if you're trying to track things like what we were talking about with Dr. Dumi. Try to track your symptoms to make sure if it's frequent, if it's regular, is it PMS, is it PMDD, as well as to track other things so that you can answer questions if you're like trying to have babies and things of that nature. When the doctors ask you, you don't have to guess. It just keeps it right there for you on the phone. I talk about it so much that I think all my doctors now have all their patients using Clue as a resource because it's just so handy. Okay, let's take a quick break now. It's 3 o'clock, and then we'll come back on the other side of this and we'll get into some of your voice notes from our earlier conversation where we're talking about how we engage on social media. We're talking about the role of columnists and whether or not the internet's populism is the biggest threat to serious columnists and opinion writers. And of course, the question on the table as you listen to that chat with Dr. Ishmael Lahadeen was how do you engage on social media? How do you, as a user of platforms like X and Facebook, how do you engage? How do you go about entering conversations and debate? And part of the writings from his opinion piece was that oftentimes our comments lead into being obscene and insulting. And we see that a lot. We see that a lot happening on platforms like X where we go unchecked as the community. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know, but it's cause for us to pause and assess our own engagement and our own behaviors on that platform. So 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line.
20 outfits of the Premier League are back on the battlefield for another spectacular season with ambitions to play the world's most competitive and compelling football.
Rodri! City 3! West Ham 1!
This is the massive fight for the ultimate glory.
Caicedo, is he going to try and beat him from inside his own half? Oh, Moises Caicedo! I can't believe it! What a way to score your first Chelsea goal!
Experience the 2024-2025 Premier League season on Saturdays at 3 p.m. live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on sabcsport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Catch me, Bonang Mateba, on a fresh reality series that showcases the business behind being a business. Get to experience an intimate look at my life with family, personal growth, and my mission to uplift young women. Jet with me as we prepare to crown a lucky chaser. Be grounded, be entertained, and be dazzled. Monday, 6 p.m. on S3, it's a date with you and B. Catch Bedazzled by Bonang on S3 every Monday at 6 p.m.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
The most glaring example of social media censorship and control is the issue of Gaza and Palestine, including the likes of Musk, Zuckerberg, and others blocking out the Palestinian narrative, blocking out videos and content, and even comments on social media networks. And therefore I imagine the whole American interest in taking over TikTok to stifle the content. On the one place that you can still try and post things that don't support the sort of one world colonial settler agenda. It's not easy to talk about this in the mainstream media. It gets blocked out, you get accused of anti-Semitism, and the level of censorship and lawfare threatening people is just astounding.
Well, me on social media, it's very rare that I engaged. It's when I'm only brave enough, and when I'm brave enough, depending on how my day is or has been, I might curse a little bit, just throwing that slur. As for Twitter, I don't. I gave it up a long time ago because of Black Twitter. I like to control what I perceive to be my personal space, be it in the cyberspace or in the physical space. I don't want people invading what I consider to be a personal space. I block like that. I block, I delete, I report, I'm glad.
Hi Bridget, good afternoon to your guest as well. Yeah, this social media topic is a very, very complicated one, and for me, I've always said that it just boils down to interpersonal skills or interpersonal communication. It's a skill to be able to communicate and have a respectable debate with someone without blatantly saying you're right or blatantly saying you're wrong, and just letting your sources and your research speak to your point. And I'm afraid most people, it's not even their fault that they haven't exercised that skill. They've been let down in many ways by education systems and how we teach people to converse with each other on a simple level. But what also makes it quite interesting is there's this quote I keep coming back to that says everyone is partially right all the time. And so I've learned to engage with social media posts in that frame of mind. I'm not trying to be right and I'm not saying you're wrong, but here's something I could offer for the conversation. Yamgela, Cape Town.
Oh, Yamgela, I'm going to borrow that quote. Everyone is partially right most of the time, or was it all of the time? Oh, I'm so going to borrow that quote from henceforth. I love it when we engage, because me, myself, I get to walk away with nuggets on the show. Right now, though, we're going to be chatting to Dingan Morupane, who is an educationist, as well as acting deputy dean, teaching and learning at the IIE College. And it's that time of the year. It is that time of the year in Dingan where we're edging closer and closer to the matric finals, only just but a mere few weeks away. So it means that the pressures are heightened both in the classroom as well as in the household. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Bridget. I'm well. Thank you for asking. Indeed, it is marking that final stage for the 2024 matric learners.
And I mean, it's a high-pressured time, not only for learners, but also for their support structures. And we always take the opportunity round about this time just to assess the state of being and readiness, but also to, share some tools that people can use to get through this time with as little bit of damage as possible. But let's just assess the time and the pressures, the unique pressures that come with being in grade 11 and particularly grade 12, at this stage of their academic journey.
Agreed, Bridget. And you are correct. The pressure is not only to the learners, but including their support structures. And I think it is critical time, to provide as much support as possible, to these learners. Both the grade 11 and 12 learners, this actually marks their final sort of year of their high school education. And we all know that, these results in grade 11 and grade 12 are usually results that, your higher education institutions look into around prospects of studying, further. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the flip of the conversation, Dingan, is that we always talk about preparing the learners, from the perspective of success, inevitable success. But I think it's also, it would be prudent of us to also remember during these conversations that they are learners who have not put in the work leading up to this point. And now, the chickens are coming home to roost, so to speak, because you have that last minute light bulb that says, I probably won't cross the finish line with the kind of success that was required of myself. Let's have that conversation about how do you prepare yourself if you know that perhaps you are not going to cross that finish line by way of passing to the next stage, whether getting into matric or passing matric in order for you to begin your tertiary education.
Indeed, Bridget, you're right. Some of these learners may have to come to terms with the fact that they could be failing one or more of their subjects in matric or even in grade 11. And this may leave them with an elevated levels of anxiety and uncertainty about, the road ahead. But I think it's quite important for these learners to take a breath and honestly evaluate their situation, and I think critically it's also important that we put a correct mindset, to really do that evaluation of what lies ahead. I think there's still time, for these students, to really do well in their subjects. And often what we see, Bridget, is, learners tend to struggle in one subject and they invest all the time, they stress about that particular subject, while we know that, at the end of the day, a pass of matric or a pass of another grade requires sort of competence or demonstration that you've passed all subjects. So I think a balance in between, the two modules that you're struggling versus the rest that you're doing well, it's critical in the sense that I'm of the opinion that, use the subjects that you're doing very well, to boost your confidence, to boost your morale, to tackle the ones that you're struggling, source form of support that you may need either from your peer learners, either from additional support outside, schooling environment, maybe a tutor, even some structures, even in the home settings could be valuable in supporting the students through these difficult times.
And you say that it's important for students to avoid there's the word going. The catastrophe of it all. The word
correct. Yeah.
It happens even to us broadcasters. You see, so you say it's important for students to avoid just creating those scenarios in their head. But realistically, though, I'm rewinding back to when I was in grade 11 and grade 12. It's very difficult not to do that.
It is very difficult, to not look at the bad situation and mobilize your mindset around it and almost feel you have failed already before you try. But I think what is critical is you need to try before you fail. You get what I'm saying? Because in that trying, you might actually become successful. And I think for me, it's about the learners really concentrate their efforts in maximizing their performance in overall, results of their matric. And it's that simple, with allocating sufficient time, developing study habits, even the support structures are once again being there to really provide, that best last opportunity to do well in this matric or grade 11 results.
Yeah, catastrophizing is the word I was looking for. I had to redeem myself. Catastrophizing was the word that I was looking for. It's always tricky, I guess, when we have these conversations, because it's a balancing act, I think, even for the support system. On the one hand, you want to support and you want to push your children to success and to doing their absolute best. But on the other end, you also have to be nurturing and patient and supportive and also leave room for the nurture that must come with disappointment if there is to be disappointment. How do parents clutch control those? Because I feel as if they always lean towards the one side.
Agreed, Bridget. And I think it's quite important that support structures, including parents and guardians around students going into matric, is there are two outcomes. It's either you pass matric or you might have failed one or two subjects. And I think creating that room of disappointment and opportunities, for the learners, it's also a critical conversation that we need to make the 2024 matric learners and the grade 11 learners be aware of, because I think often we view matric as almost that critical aspect of determining the educational journey of the student. But in my view, it's the starting point of your educational journey, as a learner. And there are ample opportunities beyond just passing matric. If you fail one subject, as an example, you've got an opportunity to do a rewrite. You've got an opportunity we've got institutions, we've got organizations that a learner can go into and actually upgrade those results and still be able to go back into the path of getting into tertiary education, as an example. So, like I mentioned, those opportunities are in place, but again, I think it's critical that the students give it their level best. Yeah. And I think, there's still time, there's still a room to seek additional help, there's still ample opportunities to really give it, the best effort.
We don't talk enough about, the options to rewrite. We don't talk enough about that socially. I don't know why, because those options are there. You don't, as you said, you don't get the results. Perhaps you don't get the percentages that you require for you to get whatever acceptances that you need. You can rewrite, and should you fail one or two subjects, there might be potential to rewrite. But why don't we talk enough about that? Is it in part because, I don't know, maybe we kind of think that it then opens up the gateway to say, you can just be lackadaisical because you can make it up?
Agreed, Bridget. I think for me it's in two folds. It's one, we don't want to pull out the plan B before we actually fulfill, the plan A. But I think two, I fully agree with you. It's around the awareness of this information and the fact that these things do exist. In some cases, again, I would urge, matric learners to, chat to their teachers, chat to their schools, because even these rewrite options and processes are actually in the same schools that they're studying at. And, even the extent in which a student might not do well in their matric subject, it still gives them, for example, an opportunity to still study in higher education. Perhaps they might have envisaged to want to study a degree, but in terms of how they've performed, they end up studying a higher certificate. That for me is still a good articulation pathway, because when you have completed a higher certificate, you then can articulate into any other qualification you need. So you actually lost the vision of, engaging in your educational future of where or what qualification you wanna study.
As when we talk to Dr. Linda, I always sneak in that sort of conversation around perhaps it's time for us to reassess, just how we have framed our academic system for learners, and perhaps it's time for them to really be relieved of making these big decisions at such early ages and start looking at other systems similar to the American system, which I think gives a little bit of reprieve and takes away a little bit of the pressure, right? Because it's not as if you're working towards matric and then by matric you must have all this figured out so that you can know what varsity is going to look like and have it figured out. There's a little bit of leeway in their system to say you're still in those growing phases of life, and so we ease you into things slowly.
Agree, Bridget, and fully agree that our education systems need to evolve, and I'm in support that we do sometimes expect, quite a lot and rigid processes around, these young minds. And for me, I think, sharing the information, guiding them, and I mean, we have had instances where, a learner would decide to take a gap year and really figure out what and how they want to proceed in terms of the educational journey. And I think that's okay. That's okay, because then what's the point of being in a qualification that you end up not completing because maybe you're not ready, maybe you did not understand. So critical even the career advice councils, committees are quite important in really guiding our students in terms of what is next in my chapter of life.
Yeah. Dingan Moropane, thank you so much for the time this afternoon, and of course sharing your expert tips with us. I hope that if you do have a senior at home right now that's preparing for grade 11 as well as the matric exams, that you did heed some of the advice that Dingan did share as the support structure. That was my final guest for this afternoon, Dingan Moropane, who is an educationist as well as acting deputy dean at the teaching and learning at IIE College. That's it from us today. Thank you so much for being in conversation with us. We don't take it for granted. You could have been anywhere and you chose to be here. We get to do it again tomorrow, inshallah, God willing. Have a great day.
The world's best cooking show is finally here. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, noma uphumaphi, and no matter your favorite dish, see if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. only on S3 Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, the world's best cooking show, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
Big ups to all the women of Africa Donga. Incredible characters in various fields. When you set your mind onto something, your winning mentality is difficult to defeat. On and off the field. Your excellence in the world of sport speaks volumes. You are the great inspiration to the nation. Happy Women's Month, courtesy of SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The top stories at 3 o'clock. Home Affairs